Happy Tuesday. This feels strange. Normally, I would be wishing you happy Q&A Monday. Yesterday was our Thanksgiving up here in Canada, so I took the liberty of eating more than I should with some friends and family. And today I thought, what rhymes with Tuesday? Toning. And I've had a ton of questions lately as far as toning. It's that time of year. Many of you in seasonal climates like me might be heading elsewhere to the tropics or such places. So sometimes we're thinking about body tone in a different way than we are in the spring. I'm just giving everyone in Facebook land a few tune in here. If you're joining me today and you can see and you can hear me, please let me know. Tell me where you're joining me from. And I must say, it's a very big deal. I know in the States, maybe not as big a deal here in Canada, but it is. It's prime deals today and tomorrow. I woke up to realize that this morning, very early in my brain. So if you have been considering a vibration plate, a massage gun, really any of Life Pro's self-care tools, they've got some amazing deals up to 20% off on certain items. For today's session, we are going to focus solely on some moves to use your vibration plate for the skin tone, those troublesome areas. And whether it is cellulite, whether you've lost some weight and you've just got some excess skin, skin tone is never one thing. Hello, Cindy. Thank you for letting me know. You're joining me from North Liberty. Very nice. Thank you for letting me know that. And I know you, Cindy. So I'm looking forward to showing you some moves today. And today does require range of motion. I said that when I put up the post. If you do not have the ability to get down on the ground, I would like you to work towards that. And that is your squats, your sits to stands. Normally, if I'm doing a body toning or body sculpting session using a vibration plate, there's a couple of reasons I would do this. These types of exercises are the perfect complement to your exercise positions. They're also an awesome complement if you're using saunas, red light, anything like that for skin toning or weight loss. A vibration machine outside of burning calories and doing the work exercises, if range of motion allows, it's a really great way to target the skin specifically. And you're going to find benefits not only for the skin surface, but also, of course, any muscular tension, relaxation. So it's, you might be doing these exercises as a warm up or a wind down to the gym. It may not be a wind up or a wind down to your red light therapies. So what order you do these exercises in, I'll cover that very quickly. It depends on you. I personally like to mix it up. So if I have done a big red light or a big sauna session, I tend to be really lazy when I'm done. So I might do a standing moment or two just to kind of get things going if I've got something to do. If I'm doing my stuff later in the day and I plan to be lazy afterwards, I do my vibration machine stuff before I do my saunas or my red lights or what have you. And the same goes for my exercise. I'm wired at the best of times. And I find if I exercise too late in the day, especially post dinner, I get wired. So I may do my workout in the morning and do some of these exercises as my relaxation later in the day. I wish I was more consistent at the massage. I'm post 50 these days, and I have my share of lumps and bumps and dimples and softness. And I do notice if I don't stick with my massage, and it tends to be that reality check in the spring when you're putting on shorter shorts and things like that. The skin tone piece of this, like anything, if you stick with it consistently, you will notice gradual improvement. It took time to get where we are. And if you are working on losing weight, or you've lost substantial weight and your issue is more loose and saggy skin, the skin is the biggest organ on our body. So even though we're exercising certain areas, primarily below the waist today, I will show you a couple of arm moves as well. You're going to see an effect all over. And years ago, when we started doing a lot of these massage, I used to do group classes. I used to see it in people's faces. So people would always love to sit on the machine for the butt and the back of the thighs, and it's great for the hips and the low back too. But I started noticing like lifts here and lifts here. So keep hydrated, the nutrition, all of that needs to be with this as well for long-term results, but sticking with it and being consistent and mixing up your settings from time to time. So today I'm using the Relaxa Vibe because it's the largest plate surface model that Life Pro has. I have all of my plates. I'm kind of maneuvering because I've got equipment all over the place as their lineup expands. But I haven't used this one very much, but I do like using it for massage. So if you are one of those people that are looking at just massaging, that's all you're ever going to do. And I do have lots of members like that. This is a great model if real estate and budget allow. I call this the living room model. And everything I'm doing today as an add-on, I'm sitting on the Aeroflex step with a cute little smaller mat for my butt. This just gives you a little bit more real estate, the height of your machine. Any of the exercises I'm doing today can also be done like on the floor. So the first one we're going to start with is massaging the calves. So you can see me a little better on camera. I'm going to prop myself up. I'm putting the step lengthways. Okay. I'm going to remove the heat cover. If you're not familiar with this model, it's kind of sexy. It's got like wood grain finish. There's a little bit more attention to detail. I call this the living room model because it makes a great ottoman. There's a heated pad. You wouldn't stand on this and do your workouts on it, but the cover, which is padded, comes off, and all of your accessories for the machine are housed inside this little like spy secret compartment. So for today, I'm just going to set this to the side. And the other reason I want to show this today is there's a lighter surface and you can see my body parts as I'm maneuvering. With this model, there is a pre-cut to shape mat. And if you're sensitive, if you bruise easily, if these positions, you want a little bit more padding, there's also the larger mat that comes with this. So any of you that have a vibration plate, whether you got a mat or with your plate or not, you may want to have some cushion. For certain body parts, it's totally a personal tolerance thing. This is about 3/4 of an inch thick. So you could just get a good yoga mat and some scissors and have yourself a quick little craft project. Okay, so for today, I am going to make sure my machine, I didn't even turn it on yet. Just a sec. Oh, keeping you in suspense. Okay. For the majority of my massage positions, do not use a mat. If I'm getting on it with my knees or, my hips or something where I need a little bit of padding, that might be a different situation, but it's really going to depend on you and your own tolerance. If you are prone to bruising, like many of the ladies in my group, I would recommend matting up first, seeing you have good tolerance, but I don't want you black and blue because you got into it for 10 minutes. And all of the exercises that I'm showing you today, because I know the next question is going to be, well, how long can I do it, Debbie? It really depends. For the purposes of skin tone, complementing what you're already doing, I like to say 1 to 2 minutes per position. Have I had people do one position for 10, 15 minutes? Absolutely. But, at the end of the day, where do you go from there? Do you just keep building and building? Some people go longer thinking that's how you get more results and more effectiveness. Mixing up your settings from week to week, especially if you're doing regular, training on your machine, is the best way to get the body, keep it confused and having to check and, adapt to the changing environment that you're presenting it on. Now, for massage, I always like to crank it right up. So today, this is technically a Rumblex model, so it's got 60 speeds. I would recommend starting out in the 40 to 50 range. When you're not standing on the plate and you're not doing weight-bearing exercises, it becomes a little bit more tolerable to take those higher speeds, and you're going to get a little bit more bang for your buck as far as the skin tone goes. If you've not been using your plate regularly or have not done these types of positions, you've got lots of deposit here, lots of scar tissue. You may notice a pins and a needles and a itchiness. Even if you've been using a plate regularly, because you're using it in a different way, you may notice a bit of an itchiness or a tingling. And that is very commonly an increase in circulation and lymph. It can be an increase in sensation, which is a very good thing. And don't be spooked. With regular use, it generally dissipates within a week or two. If you are dealing with a condition called MCAS, mast cell activation syndrome, many of you are, you tend to respond a little bit differently to exercise in general, not just vibration machines. But when we're increasing lymphatic and circulation movement, sometimes the chemicals in your body release a little more or a little less than required. And you may have a little bit of what seems like an allergic response, where instead of it just being a little tingly and itchy, it's hives and really red and driving you crazy. So taking antihistamine prior is a common thing that many of the gals in my group suggest. I'm not suggesting you do that. You should discuss with your doctor and see if that's appropriate for you. But for those of you that I know are going to bring that up anyways, I thought I'd mention that. So we are doing the calves. The calves are just off the plate of the machine. Because this is a much larger plate, I'm actually getting everywhere from my calves to the underside of my knees. Awesome little add-on. If you want to go spend $4 or $5 at Walmart or Big Five, get yourself a larger pool noodle. If you have swelling under the knees, loose skin, knee problems, knees, anything, this is a nice way to get directly into that meaty, chunky part under the back of the knee that you can't, it doesn't quite come in contact with the surface of the plate, whether you're on the ground or not. And you can roll your feet around. This is just a big vibrator. You're only limited by your imagination and your range of motion. And all the while, all the skin that's in contact with this machine, we're boosting circulation. We're boosting lymphatic movement at the surface. Cellulite, those little dimples that we develop, are the connective tissue has shrunk. And you see these little dimples, or the connective tissues, or pardon me, I'm totally losing my mind today. But you'll tend to see that on the backs of the thighs, the butt. It does present in other areas. This is a good way to relax and work on those dimples. Hydration and nutrition is also key. And the muscle definition, the muscle tone, that's going to be more your squats, your calf raises, your lunges. This is more specifically skin tone surface. It's not going to give you the definition in the muscles, like the loaded or weight-bearing exercises. So let's say we've done the calves for a minute or two. I know I rambled a little bit with an intro. I have a little bit of a flow. So after I do my calves, I move up and I do the back of my thigh. On most plates, because of my height, I can only get to just under the butt cheek. On this model, I can get my thighs and my butt on the plate. If you're sensitive to head vibration, lean slightly forward, or you can lean back onto the step. Okay, again, it just gives you a little bit more surface, the same height as your platform. And for this one, head vibration is not harmful, but especially as women, we tend to carry our tension, our bra strap, our purse, our kid. It's all in this area. And when we get moving, we tend to guard and protect. Just relax and let it do its magic. Just like when you're standing on the plate, I always nag about intensity, being conservative versus slow. I always like mid to high speeds, but you are in control over the intensity by how close or how far apart your feet are. So I recommend, depending on the position, depending on your tolerance. For this one, again, when we're working on skin tone, it's amazing what our tolerance can be versus squats and push-ups. I always joke about that. For this one, the most common way I like to use it is I kind of lean forward and I just rest my elbows just above my knees, and I get a little bit into my neck and my shoulders, but it's not really shaking the head as much as you'd think. It's when you're sitting straight up and the stimulation travels up the structure of your torso. Even in this position, if you just tilt your head slightly forward, you can still get some good vibration in the neck and the shoulders, and keep it minimal on the head. Another add-on that you can do while you're doing this position, if you don't want to just sit there, again, 1 to 2 minutes on any of these positions, you can get this is one way to get some upper body. Another way is to take your hands, tuck them just under your butt cheek, under your thigh, palms down. Elbows are naturally bent. I would say for most of us, our arms are longer than our torso, so they should be bent. And you'll feel a little bit more movement in the neck and the shoulders. Maybe you want to do some head rolls. Experiment. We're just adding a stimulation. You decide where, the more you wiggle around and the more you kind of play with your angles, the more you'll figure out how to send it where you need it while you're working on the skin tone. The very next one I want to show you is awesome for the tire that develops above the jeans, around the sides, but it's also amazing for low back. It's just another way to get into the low back if range of motion allows. For this one, I'm using a little bit of a mat. You could use a pillow, and we're going to rest our upper body on the mat or on the step. We're going to take our bum almost all the way up to your controls. I've got the controls on that side, so my back and my butt isn't turning them off. We're going to lay down completely. You can get a pillow if you really want the full experience. And then I like to lift my legs up. So you're getting kind of just from like the high part of your waist. Okay, if your feet are flat, you'll notice you develop that arch comes back in your back. And this is a good one if you're constipated. This is awesome if you're constipated. Oh, I hit the button. See? I think I can lock this model, but I haven't played with it enough. There. Okay. My favorite way to do this one is just to bring my knees up. It puts a little bit more body weight into that area, and it also gets rid of the small in your back. Now, if you have a low back issue, or maybe you got more lumps and bumps on one side than the other, you can turn your body kind of towards that one. This is awesome if you have hip issues. The problem with hip issues is getting into this position in the first place. Okay, something to work towards. And I just kind of rotate back and forth using my own body weight. If you want to put your legs straight up, have a stretch, whatever feels good, experiment. Bring it to your knees. Okay, do some stretching. Whatever feels good. Okay. The next section is the rest of the tire. Now we're going to come around the side. We're going to get the hip and that outer thigh. Now, your hip is the point of contact. So start with your hip somewhat in the middle of your machine. So we're going to keep turning. You can put your forearm on the ground or on the step. Now, depending on how much meat you got on your bones, you're going to feel this one a little bit more because there's less padding. I like to lay down completely like this, like I'm watching TV, and then I can get the outer edge of that tire. The entire edge of my thigh is on there. And my knees are just bent, one laying on top of the other. The more you take your butt from the center towards the outer edge, the more movement you're going to get. Doesn't necessarily mean more benefit, but it does mean more shake. So you're going to have to decide what feels best for you. And again, I'm recommending the 40 to 50 range on your speed level on a Rumblex. If you're using a waiver or a mini waiver, I'm going to suggest the 70 to 80 range, maybe 80, even 90 as a starting point. You've got basically the same amount of performance between those models, but you've got a different speed range in which to mix it up. And if you are doing these positions regularly, I would recommend every week, slow it down 5 or 6 speeds or speed it up a little bit. That's part of the reason I always talk in ranges. It's never an exact number or setting for any condition or person. It really depends on how it feels to you. It's very much an individual thing. Okay, so now we're going to do the tops of the thighs. Okay, so what you're going to do for this one is I want you to come around. We're going to lay just from above the kneecap to the thighs on the machine. Depending on your height, you might get the bottom edge of the stomach on the machine. If you've got sticky outy hip bones, you might want to add your mat back on the machine. Really depends on you. So for this one, we're just going to lay like this. The kneecaps are just off the machine. Oh, I hit the button. See, I'm human too. Now for this one, you can leave your feet just to rest if you like. I personally prefer, for the same reason I did this with my back, I prefer more weight. And I feel a nice little shake in my calves. My calves are shaking all over the place. It feels good. Again, Knees closer is less movement. Knees wider is more movement. And this is, you can manipulate your body and roll a little bit this way, roll a little bit that way. You know where your trouble spots are. Experiment with your angles and how you position yourself to hit them once you're down here on the ground. For those of you that I know are going to ask, can I put my stomach on the machine? You know what? You're never going to see that study unless there's something they can sell you that goes with it. But I've had women for years putting their, you think people ask me before, they ask for permission, or for forgiveness, not for permission. But I've had many clients over the years lay their stomach on it. Again, it's a tolerance thing. I wouldn't get up into the girls in the chest, but there's less impact than jogging. So it's just a matter of whether it feels comfortable for you to do your stomach. I kind of come up to about the belly button. Oh, I keep doing this. I come up to about the belly button. And then you can either just hold yourself up on the ground, lay yourself on the machine. Again, you can lift those arms up. Depends on your height. You depending on which model you're using, you may get your thighs and the lower part of your tummy on here. I've got to do it in 2 rounds. For all of these positions, you'll notice I have been doing it down the middle. Do not do these lengthways just because you get more machine surface. It doesn't really work so good sideways. You're just going to be shaking all over. It's not nearly as effective. I know that it's moving you more and it's pounding your stomach, but this isn't the way to do it. Okay? You're going to turn this way. And the knees are just past. So one final move. This one takes a little bit more coordination. We're going to hit that inner thigh. So that part that wears out the jeans first. So we're going to get from the top of the knee just to the inner edge of the groin. For any of my guys that have ever pulled their groin, this is a good way to target it. But I want you to be very conscious of where you're placing your knee. So for this one, and I might have the machine a little too close to the wall. You're going to lay down on the floor beside the machine. Okay, you're going to get your body right up against it. You're going to lay down like this, and you're going to take this thigh and twist at the hips and drape it over. I want that leg just off center. If you're too far this way, it's just not terribly comfortable or effective. Crank that speed up. I'm doing this on slow speed so you guys can see me shaking on camera. But again, hook that meaty part on, lay that on the plate, and then I just twist. I come up on my forearms if range of motion allows, and you'll feel the weight going in. Massage is also nice in pulsation mode if you have that movement on your plate. Otherwise, everything I've been doing today is in oscillating mode as always. It is the most functional, all-purpose movement. It mimics how we walk, so it's also very natural. For this, just like a teeter-totter, outer edge is more intense. Closer towards the center is less intense. That's where the control is when you get into these high speeds I'm showing you today. To do the other side, again, 1 to 2 minutes per position. You don't have to do all of these positions. I just wanted to show them all to you today. So this one's not going to be as flattering, but I want you right up beside the machine. We're going to take that leg, swing it over, and we're going to keep turning, and you can see it's hooked up on the machine. If you want more intensity, start moving off center just slightly, okay? 1 to 2 minutes for each of those positions. Now, if you have poor range of motion, or if you got down on the ground, and getting down on the ground is usually not the challenge. It's the getting back up off the ground. So make sure that you're able to do that. If you're struggling with that, you should be working on your squats, your sit to stands, improving that range of motion. Not only leg strength will improve, but a range of motion on the ankles, the knees, and the hips to get down here and get yourself back up off the ground. Okay, I know many of you have your ways, but what happens, the biggest caution I guess I'll give you when you are massaging, what happens, especially if you're dealing with a chronic issue and you get down here on the ground and it feels so darn good, what ends up happening very often is you over massage, and it's It feels so good. It's hard to believe how much activity is going on in a short time. The last thing I want you to be is all jello-y and unable to get back up off the ground. So I'm going to come a little closer to camera now and see if anyone else is listening to my ramblings. If you have done any of these positions, I hope I offered you some technique today or some tips. Again, there is never an exact number, protocol, setting for any condition or any symptom out there. It really is you personally, what your goals are, and where physically you're starting from. If you're dealing with a chronic issue and you want to lose 80 pounds, it's hard to do that if you're unable to go up the stairs twice without your knee giving out on you. So there's lots of ways that massage can not only improve skin tone, but it's a great way to expedite recovery, manage pain, manage symptoms. So if any of these resonated with you, any of these positions could simply be an add-on to your existing exercise workout or your therapy routine, or something just to do towards the end of the day if you are dealing with chronic tension, pain. You keep meaning to go to the spa for the laser treatments and you never get to it. This is a really good way to complement what else you may already be doing and enhance the results overall. And it's fun when you start combining things together and start raising the bar as far as the benefits you're doing without a whole lot of extra time and effort. It's a win-win. So this is just another opportunity for you guys to see a different way to do things. It is Prime today, Prime sale. In the US for sure. There are some sales also on in Canada and in the UK, I believe the EU as well. I want to drop some links for you guys. It's the 10th today here, but it's kind of the almost the 11th in some parts of the world. So I'm going to drop these here. If you do have any questions, there's links to each of the sites. It's up to 20% off direct with Life Pro. So I always recommend checking with them first. I always prefer dealing with them directly if I can over Amazon, especially if I ever need to deal with something after the fact. So yeah, I hope you got some good ideas today. If you are currently doing other treatments specific to fat or skin tone, again, this is a great prep recovery complement to that. Many of the positions that I showed you today, I have been doing for almost 2 decades. And many of them I learned in Europe. A lot of the light therapies were coming into popularity then. And with most light therapies, if you're using them for weight loss, you should have an exercise component after. They don't always tell you that at the shop, but many of these places didn't want to put in treadmills or big exercise classes. Many of them were installing vibration machines, not only for the exercise benefits that you'll get out of them, but it was easier. It was more spa, if you will. So my experience in incorporating vibration machines and red light, that's kind of the history. And same with saunas. It was all these complementary treatments that not only we did in our own studio, but a lot of the studios that I supported and mentored back in the day. So if any of you have any of these devices, I hope I gave you some ideas to combine them. If anybody has questions, now is the time. If you're joining me after the fact and you do have a question, but you were unable to join us live, always tag me at Debby with a Y, and I'll be happy to get back to you on that. Today is I kind of do this one about 3-4 times a year because I don't do all the moves all the time. And as I'm aging, my body's changing. So, sometimes I'm using it for cellulite, sometimes it's for sciatic. So our needs change as we grow. The moves can suit a lot of different conditions. So don't be surprised if, you're getting down there dealing with skin tone and all of a sudden your low back and your hips are starting to feel better. There's a lot of feel good benefits you're getting without realizing. So thank you for joining me today. If you ever have session ideas or questions, please let us know, of course. Oh, thank you, Facebook user. I was going to show you a couple of moves for the arms. Is this what we're talking about? The bat wings? First of all, just like your squats and the booty and the quads, you do need to do maybe some modified push-ups, some strength exercises while you're doing your plates to get the muscle tone. But for the skin, there is such an easy way to do this. I just lay down on my back and I literally drape my elbow on the machine. So if range of motion allows, get yourself a pillow, crank it up to the 50, 60 range. This is going to hit those bat wings. And while you're doing it, just kind of roll that hunk of skin back and forth. You can get in towards the front. I was showing you how to do this one earlier. Move yourself down and just drape your arm over the plate. This is a great way to get into the shoulder. I think you can probably see me better this way. Thank you for reminding me. See, I'm just hugging the machine. It is just a big vibrator. You know, many of you may be using massage guns for some of these applications as well. That's a great way to also target certain areas, but you can get a lot more real estate done with your vibration plate. So if you haven't watched one of my upper body sessions, bat wigs, yeah. If you haven't watched one of my upper body sessions, when you're doing your push-ups, this is, okay, so normally when we're doing a push-up, we're like this. Pull those elbows in against your ribs and hold. So you're looking, instead of like this in your push-up, pull those elbows in against your ribs, and that's the only thing that'll be able to hold you up. Then do your massage. Okay. So it's so funny when I started doing classes back in the day, and all my gals were going to do, I can't get down to the ground. I can't do push-ups. No, my knees, my back. There was always a million reasons. But as soon as we heard cellulite, bam, people could get down on the ground like right now. So I think some of it, if you're going to be down there anyways, if you didn't watch the whole session, flip back to the beginning, but there was one where while I was sitting on the machine, I tucked my arms in under. For those of you that can't get down and do push-ups because of knee issues or other things, but you can get down on the ground, that's a good way to get started on some upper body. A lot of times I find, especially with my ladies, it's not that we're unconditioned and we're not strong. It's overuse with the upper body. And it's not, our power is our legs and our glutes, unlike our male counterparts. So we focus what's in the genes, whereas the guys focus what's out of the genes. And seasonally, when we start pulling out tank tops, that's when we go, like me right now. Okay. Like I have, but I don't have much, I haven't been doing weights. I can so tell that it's been summer and I've been in the garden. In the winter, I tend to do a little bit more indoors and be more diligent. So thank you for keeping me accountable. Today, it is early October. And as I said, certainly in Canada, many of my friends and family start doing vacation time towards November. So time to start. Perhaps you're looking forward to that black dress season for New Year's. It takes our body time for these changes. So do the strength for the definition. And here was just some ideas today for the skin tone. I hope you enjoy those and keep me posted if any of these are new and you're trying them and you have any questions. I would be interested. Just come back into this session and tag, because sometimes there's common questions after the fact with some of these. Certainly the itchiness. And again, with regular use, that'll dissipate over time. Thanks very much, guys. I hope you enjoyed today. Have a great rest of your week. And I will see you at my regular time next Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a great rest of your week, guys. Don't work too hard.